how are you a worshiper? Like, have you done this before? Do you need help?
Nope.
Okay,
I'm good to
you're
go.
good.
Yep.
You're good.
I do need to light the.
You got it?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for coming on this wintry day to First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. My name is Sue Fazio. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a member of the worship committee. We are glad you are here this Sunday, either in person or online. If you are a visitor or a newcomer, I'd like to extend a special welcome. And if you're new to our congregation, be sure to fill out a newcomer form found in the live stream description or in the lobby of the church. Please join us for coffee and a big party in Fellowship Hall after the service. We welcome families with children. Families with children are invited to connect with the RE committee after this service for more information about our RE program. And if you're attending online, you can connect with each other in the chat. And don't forget the link for a virtual coffee hour can be found in your weekly e-news. The announcements. Jazz Sunday has not been canceled. Spring Forward on March 9th with Greg Hotzel and jazz crew and lay leaders, moi and Pamela Geppert. Be there or be square. Have you all signed up for Friday e-news? It's a great way to get all the details on events and opportunities available here at First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. And I would also like to say that despite what it says in the program, I will not be getting the funds. They are going to the Prison Performing Arts, and if you have not been to one of those performing arts, it is amazing. So I encourage you to give and to go. And I think that is all the announcements today. Thank you. Enjoy 5 minutes of fellowship, and we'll see you at 10. Good morning. Welcome to this religious community where we affirm worth and dignity of all who enter. We gather in community, understanding we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, identity, and theology. Our values invite us into a shared journey of truth and meaning-making. Together we foster a spirit of gratitude and generosity so that all may feel welcome and all can thrive. We're glad you're with us this morning. Please enjoy our prelude, Sonata in A major. Deep River, performed by Alan Hoffman.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Sabrina Trupia, and I use they, them pronouns. I serve this congregation as the sabbatical minister. We begin today with a call to worship by Reverend Ian Riddell. Come one, come all. Come with your missing pieces and your extra screws. Come with your hard edges and your soft spots. Come with your bowed heads and upright spines. Come all, you flamboyant and drab, verbose and quiet, fidgeting and lethargic. All you with large vision and tender hearts. All you with small courage and tender fears. Bring your lisp and your stutter and your song. Bring your gravel and your drawl. and your lilt. Bring your anger and your joy and your righteous indignation. Misfits and conformists and everyone in between. Come into the space and be welcome. Bring who you are. Bring where you've traveled. Bring what you long for. Let us worship together. Now please rise in body or spirit and join us for our hymn of the month, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We're gonna play it twice, right? Twice? 3 times. Okay, cool, perfect. Someone from the choir is gonna explain.
Don't do this to me. I'm gonna do it. Okay, can we sing it? And it's twice as good. Okay, you're gonna do it? If you don't do it in the microphone, explain it. Explain it. Okay. Good morning. Here is for the choir. It's just a round. So Alan will give us a little intro. We'll sing it, all of us, all through once. And then this side. I'll lead this side. Anna will lead that side. We sing the round twice. Got it.
I'm tall, but I still can't see in the back.
All right. Okay. Alan?
It's nice to see so many people here today. Thank you. Our chalice lighting is called Out of the Flames We Rise by Sarah Eileen Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames, we rise.
There is always a light. Talk amongst yourselves. Well, anyway, while we're waiting, if any kids want to come up to the story. I got it. Okay, so the oldies are going to be talking about the bullies next door when you guys leave. So I decided to pick a story, kind of the best story that I could think of about bullies. So it's called Leonardo the Terrible Monster. Do you guys know this one? No? Good. All right. Leonardo was a terrible monster. He couldn't scare anyone. He didn't have 1,642 teeth like Tony. Note, not all teeth shown. He wasn't big like Eleanor. And he wasn't just plain weird like Hector. Leonardo tried really hard to be scary, but he just wasn't. One day, Leonardo had an idea. He would find the most scaredy cat kid in the whole world and scare the tuna salad out of him. Leonardo researched until he found the perfect candidate. Snuck up on the poor, unsuspecting boy. And the monster gave it all he had. Until the little boy cried. Yes, said Leonardo. I did it. I finally scared the tuna salad out of someone. No, you didn't, said Sam. Stand for this one. Ugh. And I tried to fix it, but I couldn't. I got so mad that I kicked the table and I stubbed the toe on the same foot that I was last month when I accidentally slipped in the bathtub after I got soap in my eyes trying to wash the bird poo out of my brother's cockatoo pooped in my head, and I don't have any friends, and my tummy hurts. That's why. I can't. Then Leonardo made a very big decision. It's okay. Instead of being a terrible monster, he would become a wonderful friend. But that didn't mean that he couldn't try to scare his friend every now and then. Boom!
When we are present to each other's joys and concerns, we affirm each other's humanity. Being seen and accepted in moments of struggle and celebration is how we build community. Now is the time in our service when we connect with one another by sharing our sorrows and concerns. We send our healing thoughts and prayer to Reverend Barbie Click, who coordinates the Trinity Episcopal Food Ministries. Reverend Barbie was recently diagnosed with colon cancer. Recently had a hip replacement. I'm trying to get into the joys and concerns on the iPad, and not happening. That's really weird. Okay. I had read them before the service, and if you've put a concern in the electronic form, I am sorry that I can't read them, but somehow it doesn't want to log in. I have one sorrow at the news of the death of Sam Nordquist, a trans man from Minnesota who was killed in New York State. May his memory be for a blessing to all who loved him. As a community, we also share our joys and celebrations with one another. Congratulations to Alyssa Hunter, daughter of Catherine and TJ Hunter, who was recently married. And the joys that were submitted, I will read them next Sunday. But we lift these joys up with gladness and celebration. May they be magnified because they're shared. With many joys and concerns remaining unspoken or unread in our hearts and minds, please join me in a spirit of prayer. Oh, you got it? Yeah. All right. Bring them. Yeah, they can't leave. No, like you gotta stay, man. So, someone's grandmother to two members of First UU that are moving. You can't move because, look. Someone is concerned about a visit to the emergency room of their husband. They hope to get answers. As always, watching the events in Washington unfold with alarm and dismay. The joys is that we are 5 days away from someone's 50th birthday. But aren't we always? The counterpart to that concern a minute ago, the joy for the new adventures of these two members whose phone I'm holding in my hands. Also, there's a party downstairs after service. Their son's publication of a new book. Somebody's 18 today. Congratulations from your parents. And someone is celebrating 3 February birthdays. It's the shortest month yet. 3 people. And successful surgeries. We're really happy, and Adam, thank you so much. That's my joy that I was like saved in the last minute. With many joys and concerns remaining unspoken in our hearts and minds, please join me in a spirit of prayer and mindful attention. Today's prayer comes to us from Reverend Chad Snyder. Love is loud. Love, says the Old Covenant, is the spirit of this church. Love, joy and laughter, giggles and silly love songs, but love speaks too to the real pain in the world. Love knows. It knows hate and fear, selfishness and greed, bullet and blade, the cutting edge of indifference. Love knows, and love does not let us turn away. It does not rest in thoughts and prayers. Love knows the names, says the names out loud, and will keep saying them until the day we hope against all that is holy, those names no longer need saying. Love is loud. Love clamors, it applauds, it shouts down and fires up. Love calls to the margin and, not waiting for the echo, chases its voice to that margin in song and joyful noise, in apology for hurts caused, shifts the center until the margin isn't. Love does not suffer the suffering of others in silence, but resonates in silent space, held for another's story. Love is the spirit of this church if we choose it and give it voice. And if we make that choice, then in the noise, in the raucous joy and wailing pain, righteous rage, in the resonating silence, in the cacophony of beautiful voices and possibilities, through all that holy racket, love will guide us. Amen.
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis strives to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality of this congregation in the St. Louis region and beyond. All non-pledged donations today will go to the fabulous Prison Performing Arts, and Tyler will be downstairs if you'd like to chat about this organization. This organization works with prison populations, adult men, adult women, juveniles, to provide new perspectives and models so that they can develop their worldview, their self-awareness, and spend time during their incarceration learning in the classes on theater and poetry that are offered. Please come downstairs after the service to meet Tyler White, who will be there to answer questions and tell you more about the organization. For all your gifts of time and talent and treasure, we thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. We have 2 readings today. The first one is by writer and poet Cole Arthur Riley. Exclusion operates by the same rule of mutuality as welcome, for it harms both the excluded and the excluder. If you are in the hands of exclusion for long enough, you learn acceptance only at the hands of someone else's exile. You learn belonging as a competition, not restoration. It is also a kind of restlessness, for the energy you expend forbidding others to walk through the door of community is only matched by the energy you expend competing to stay inside yourself. Our second reading is by philosopher Karl Popper. Less well known than the other paradoxes is the paradox of tolerance. Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappointment. If we are not prepared, tolerant will be destroyed, and tolerance with them. In this formulation, I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterance of intolerant philosophies, as long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion. Suppression would certainly be most unwise. But we should claim the right to suppress them if necessary, even by force, for it may easily turn out that they are not prepared to meet us on a level of rational argument. But begin by denouncing all argument. They may fists or pistols. We should therefore claim that any move we should consider enticement.
A bully was a friend of a friend. He showed up occasionally when I would go to my friend's home. This was a kid who loved making fun of me. He made fun of the way I talked, the way I walked, the way I played, the way I sometimes cried because he was bullying me. My bully managed to turn what had been for me a pleasant way of spending an afternoon with a friend in some sort of a nightmare. And so I stopped going to my friend's home. This happened when I was in grade school, and yet I can still remember it because, I felt bad. Having a bully or being bullied in our childhood is a common experience, and yet there's some funny math going on. If we've all been bullied, who are the bullies? Where are they? For instance, hard as I tried to remember, for most of my adult life, I couldn't remember an instance where I bullied someone. Yeah, because of course, when we're on the receiving end of shame, pain, tears, it's much easier to remember them than when we're on the delivery side. A while ago, someone reminded me that there was this kid, a little girl. They used to tag along a group of friends in the summer between my 3rd and 4th grade. They asked, do you remember that girl? This kid? Let's call her Mary. Oh my God, yes. Ew. I'd forgotten about her. Mary really wanted to play with us. And because she was younger than us, of course, we didn't want her to play with us. But one day, we decided to have her join our activities. Of course, it wasn't that we had suddenly become inclusive. We had decided on playing a humiliating prank on her, and I'm a little embarrassed to tell you about this, but basically, we had found a way to put dirt down her shorts without her knowing. And so by the end of the play date or the day, Mary had dirt all over her, not just in the shorts, but in her face, the shoes. And we laughed and called her dirty, and we told her we didn't want to play with her because she was dirty. She left in tears. Some of us were still laughing when she came back to the playground with her dad. Uh-oh. You know, her dad did not yell at us. He wasn't even mad. I only remember him quietly asking why. And even though I don't remember much of the other circumstances, I remember the moment I realized that I'd hurt someone else, because I didn't have an answer for that why. And I realized that I'd hurt somebody like my bully was hurting me at the time. That's when I knew. This dad had reached me by appealing to our shared humanity, and I heard him. Thanks anymore on anyone. I wonder, did my bully ever realize what he did to me? Did he forget like I did until years later? Although it is normalized, bullying is a form of hate, a rung of the so-called pyramid of hate, a scale that goes from bias to genocide, an ever-increasing hateful layered step in which each previous layer affects the next. Acts of individual prejudice, the second layer, like books and gossip and rumors, start the process of dehumanizing people. And then, when this dehumanization becomes normalized by bullying, for instance, then we can move to the third layer of institutionalized hate, such as legislating discrimination against minorities. Because it's easier to discriminate against someone if you violence, hate crimes, and finally genocide. So bullying is part of that. I could point to what has been going on since January 20th as a fast ride up this pyramid of hate, but it would be disingenuous of me to simply point to the current bullies in power as if they came from nowhere. This country has a rich history of discrimination, bias, and hate crimes that well precede even the first term of the current president of the White House. For 2023, so not during this administration, well before this administration, in fact. Someone left an invitation to a neighborhood meeting rolled up in the handle of my front door. It said, "Please attend a meeting to discuss a proposed overnight warming location to serve our unhoused neighbors." I was super happy that there finally would be a meeting to take care of these people that I see around town. So I went to the meeting full of hope and listened to the speakers. They were mostly ministers. But I noticed something. I noticed their tone coming existence. Frankly, I was getting a bit annoyed. What's with the tone? Why are they apologizing? There's no need to apologize, to explain why this is a good idea. After the presentation part of the talk ended, during the Q&A, the opposition spoke up, and they were loud. There was this man specifically who had a clipboard in his hand, because of course he already had a petition against it, who spoke up, painting a dim picture of what would happen if we let those people into our neighborhood. He spoke of knowing real well what those people are like. They don't want to change their station in life. They are gross, they're unwashed, they are dangerous. Those people could approach our children on their way to school. They could even murder us in our sleep. He really said that. Those people threaten our safety, he said, and will break the law. In his view, our community apparently is not a community in which the unhoused exist, except they do. And when it's cold like it's going to be tonight, those who live next door to me join that guy with the clipboard in their opposition. So, in this example, we got to institutional acts of discrimination in the pyramid of hate when the man with the clipboard and his allies or cronies or friends succeeded in pressuring the city to issue an injunction threatening the center, the upcoming, hadn't even opened, with fines up to $750 a night. Institutional discrimination, right? Of course, the organizers of the center ignored the injunction and opened anyway, because when justice becomes a matter of life and death, we have to choose life. So why am I talking about bullies in the month where we're supposed to talk about inclusion? Where am I going with this? We talked about in the first meeting that we have to forgive our bullies. Do we include the bullies in our circle, or do we call them out? I recently watched a TED Talk by a woman and calling out people. We all should know what calling out is. Hey, quit it, or look at that guy, he's doing it. That type of thing, right? On the other hand, there is calling in. Loretta says that calling in is like calling out plus love. When you point out that you're not doing the right thing with love, but firmness. She says that she turns to people that are saying something maybe racist and says, "Excuse me," and stares at them until they can talk about it. Calling in fosters a radical type of forgiveness, which frees the forgiver from hurt, right? Forgiveness is all about us who forgive. But calling in also reaches the person who did the hurting and can transform them. But transformation implies willingness. It's like that old joke about the light bulb. How many therapists does it take to screw in a light bulb? One, but the light bulb must be willing to change. Yeah, that one. And what if the bully doesn't want to change? What if we call them in with all the love in the world and they kick sand in our face? How can we tell when to include and forgive and when not? Author Robert Jones Jr. has a famous quote about that. I've seen it all over Facebook. He says, "We can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist." And in other words, this is the paradox of tolerance, which we just heard expressed by Karl Popper in our second reading. The paradox, of course, says we cannot tolerate people who are intolerant, because if we let them in, they will fill the space with the intolerance, and there will be no more tolerance. Popper even said that we should consider incitement to intolerance and persecution as criminal and punish it as such. And we should, and I agree. That's why the reading is there. And it would seem easy to spot this type of hate, right? I mean, the Proud Boys are out there. There's Newsmax, the whole entire MAGA thing. But it's not always so cut and dried, right? Because hate starts small. Hate starts with other people's silence. Many of you probably know the original version of the poem, and then he's left alone, there's no one else. And then there was no one. Pieces, division, and deadly hate. And it starts small. like picking on a marginalized group that cannot advocate for themselves, a group that most of the population maybe cannot relate to. That is why our current regime is so dead set on eliminating DEI. Advocacy for marginalized identities. It has nothing to do with government efficiency. It has to do with the fact that when we include as many people as possible, everyone's voice is heard. There is no silence. And that way, hate is harder to propagate. So we must be vigilant about what we consider small and insignificant, because our silence can be a seed for hate. And okay, I wish may we continue to learn from it. Because before the Second World War, 10 years before, they started picking on disabled and trans people first. And by picked on, I mean try to fully erase them from German society. That was their trial balloon. They was quite successful in doing that. They used two sets of marginalized people that were easy to point to as abominations, deviations from the natural norm. Once the hatred from disabled and trans people was normalized, they opened it up. And those who had been silent when they were persecuting those minorities kept silent, perhaps out of fear of being targeted. That is the paradox of tolerance in action. That's what he was talking about, allowing the intolerant. It's easy to see the parallels to what is happening now. So how do we know when to call in or distance ourselves from the bullies in our neighborhood? One way is to lean into our values. Marian Buddy sermon at the prayer service the week of the inauguration. I want to talk about that for a minute. During her sermon, Bishop Buddy asked the new president to have mercy for the people that this very guy wants to erase, specifically immigrant populations and the LGBT kids and their families. It looks as if she was calling just doing that, if she was. She was giving voice to the immigrants and queer people and queer kids. She wasn't just appealing to the humanity of the president. She was showing the rest of us how to not be silent. Bishop Buddy, her sermon before her plea for mercy was about bringing unity to the country. She mentioned the inherent dignity of every human being. She said, in public discourse, honoring each other's dignity means refusing to mock or discount or demonize those with whom we differ, choosing instead to respectfully debate our differences and, whenever possible, to seek common ground. And if common ground is not possible, dignity demands that we remain true to our convictions without contempt for those who hold convictions of their own. Refusing to know whether to call in someone or call them out. Karl Popper's intolerance with them. And how we defend tolerant society, inclusive society, is by naming the thing, by being loud about justice. Remember the story I told earlier about the Ever Since, and they recently opened another center in another town? We got loud. We invited in the press. We gave interviews. We went to town hall meetings and were present just about everywhere, naming the thing until they gave in. This is how we fight against the intolerant. being as loud or louder than them, speaking truth to power, reminding people of our shared humanity, of the power we have when we band together, of the inherent dignity and worthiness of each of us, that same dignity that allows us to stand in front of bullies, big and small, and say no more. May it be so. Please rise as you're willing and able and join us in the close. Remember to call in the haters if you can. But if they cannot hear you, then be loud about justice. Amen? Amen. Go in